Ladies and gentlemen, this is very interesting. Feds probing AOC's chief of staff after sudden resignation. This is the New York Post, August 3rd, 2019, 9:40 p.m. The feds are looking into possible campaign finance misdeeds by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's chief of staff and lead rainmaker, who suddenly resigned Friday, federal sources told the Post. I do not know at this point if this is 100% accurate, because this is the only publication I see this in, New York Post, but the New York Post is very reputable. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, please share H.A. Goodman's other channel, my latest channel, which I'm going to be unfiltered and raw and funnier than ever and just more provocative on that channel. This is my family-friendly channel of almost 150,000 subs. I was told from my YouTube representative to keep my channel separate, so I have this channel, family-friendly. I have my firearms channel that is going to be only devoted to that. And then I started a new channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel. So I kind of dabbled into uploading some more unfiltered stuff on HA2A, but I deleted those, and now I'm starting fresh and new on H.A. Goodman's other channel. Literally, that's what it's called, below in the pinned comment. And my latest segment is about Marianne Williamson's Love Goblins and Balls of Justice and Serenity. I should say ethereal, spiritual, floating balls of goodness and happiness that just showered upon me with logic as to why President Trump was so horrible and why I'm going to vote for Clinton 2020. It's more of a skit, and it's more of an enjoyable type of I'm voting for Trump 2020, but check it out. Anyway, it's below in the pinned comment. Feds probing AOC's chief of staff after sudden resignation. Basically, her elves and, whatever. It's funny. You'll enjoy it. The inquiry centers on two public political action committees founded by her chief of staff, the top aide who quit along with Ocasio-Cortez's spokesman. Okay, the chief of staff who masterminded Ocasio-Cortez's campaign and steered her proposed Green New Deal has caused uproar in the halls of Congress with a series of combative tweets that contributed to a rift between his rookie boss and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who, by the way, they called racist. Isn't that interesting? They were about to call her, sorry. They didn't have the courage to do so. They just went on the, how come you're criticizing people of a certain background who, in this case, whenever it's like this mentality on the left now is if you criticize a person on the left who happens to be of a certain background, you're criticizing all people of that background, even though there are conservatives and Trump supporters of that background. Close to 30% of Latinos, for example, voted for Trump. There's record low Black and Latino unemployment. There's record low Latino unemployment right now. And you're going to have more than 30%, almost certainly, of Latino voters throughout the country vote for President Trump. Most of the country is not on Twitter. Most of the country doesn't obsess over the latest retweet and what's trending and what the Washington Post, the New York Times, and CNN and MSNBC say about Trump. Anyway, I wrote a long time ago numerous articles in the Huffington Post, one in particular about Justice Democrats. I also explained when this was all going down, why all the wonderful people who were part of this were, whatever. The whole thing is nonsense, and it was nonsense to begin with. Bernie Sanders was cheated and didn't have the courage to not only publicize the fact that he was cheated and fight back, but he fomented the same Russian hacking interference nonsense that even the ODNI and DHS reports they only state it with warranty disclaimers. They are not certain. Judgments are not intended to be confused as fact. The warranty disclaimers in the Director of National Intelligence and Department of Homeland Security and FBI reports state categorically that there's only confidence levels in all of this nonsense. So, the Russians hacking the DNC, we only know that from CrowdStrike. That was outsourced by the Democratic Party. The Steele dossier was a bunch of baloney that was pushed by the same people who helped start, many of the same people who helped start Justice Democrats. Now you have the government. Now, if this is accurate, Feds probing AOC's chief of staff after sudden resignation. You think someone's going to flip and sing if he has to? Okay, there was $1 million allegedly funneled into possibly 2 LLCs. So the gentleman's name is, I believe, Lee Goodman, FEC chairman. Lee E. Goodman was on Fox, talked about what potentially could be, because they raised about $3,300,000 from Justice Democrats and all those wonderful pundits who were raising money for that organization. $3,300,000, and Lee E. Goodman, no relation, on Fox said that they only charged the campaign $300,000. So you're talking about a $3 million. He basically was wondering what happened to the $3 million if they raised $3 million in expensive. They spent $3 million, but they only charged the campaign $300,000. You know what? Let's just go ahead and do this. Let's get it from Mr. Goodman's mouth, or his own words, I should say. But there are numerous FEC complaints. There's a gentleman named Hans von Spakovsky, or Mr. von Spakovsky. He was on Fox basically saying that she could face theoretically jail time or prison time if there was intent in what she had done. But here you go. Here's the actual here's Lee E. Goodman explaining what's going on.
This could bode ill and be bad for Ocasio-Cortez. Why do you say that?
So far, there have been 2 complaints filed against this scheme that she and Mr. Trebarton created, 3 entities, 2 political action committees and 1 LLC, to be an incubator and to subsidize nascent campaigns, as they called them, of their preferred candidates. One complaint claims that she may have circumvented the personal use violation. That is, you can't use campaign funds for personal use. Another complaint filed with the FEC claims that they spent so much money through an LLC in order to obscure how they actually dispersed the funds. I actually think that the more serious potential violation is of dimensions of $3 million. And that is that the enterprise of 2 political action committees and an LLC provided campaign support at a deficit. That is, that they spent about $3.3 million to support the campaigns.
So they raised that money spent, one would assume they raised $3.3 million.
Of the Congresswoman and others, and yet they charged the campaigns only about $300,000, and I think that looks like a potential $3 million subsidy to the campaign.
So let's listen to this again.
And an LLC provided campaign support at a deficit. That is, that they spent about $3.3 million.
So they allegedly spent $3.3 million. Where did that money come from?
To support the campaigns of the Congresswoman and others, and yet they charged the campaigns only about $300,000.
So they spent allegedly $3.3 million, but they charged the campaign $300,000. So what happened to the $3 million?
And I think that looks like a potential $3 million subsidy to the campaigns that they supported, including the Congresswoman's, because she paid only $60,000 for the services she received from this enterprise.
So there are other issues also. She didn't pay workers' comp. There are tax issues that she's facing. A lot of issues. There are numerous complaints, but this is all like, the interesting thing is when you ask AOC, well, you know what? There has to be more oversight on Trump and Green New Deal and Medicare for all. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess that sounds noble, but how come there are no states with Medicare for all? Okay, why doesn't Vermont have Medicare for all? Why did the Mercatus study say that you have to double the triple tax collection? And there's an Urban Institute study. The Green New Deal, why are there studies or reports out now that it would tank the economy? I explain, well, obviously, you just read it, you know it would tank the economy, but I explain in the Federalist, that article is below if you click on my author page. In the Federalist, I explain that the mining of cobalt, the majority, like 70%, 75% of the world's cobalt is found in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. If you have 100% electric car vehicles, the technology for electric car vehicles is still nascent. The electric car vehicle batteries run on these metals that are mined by indigenous people that AOC claims to love. The mining of cobalt and lithium and nickel, especially cobalt, has led to tremendous environmental catastrophe, political chaos, all this just mayhem that decimates indigenous communities that they claim to respect and love. So the duplicity and the disingenuous, all this, it kind of ties into my first segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel, which you'll love. There's actually some graphics on there. You'll love it. But that's just it. You know what? Let's just keep reading because it's pretty interesting if this is the case, if the feds are actually probing the chief of staff, the walls are collapsing on not just them, but also potentially Justice Democrats. The inquiry centers on 2 political action committees funded by her chief of staff. Okay, so people are not happy that he used his Twitter account to comment about members and the bills that he and his boss oppose. A senior House Democratic staffer said there was a series of colliding and cascading grievances. What did I say about Pelosi? Now, if the feds are actually clamping down and the walls are caving in on AOC, I called it. I said it's very likely Pelosi gave the green. I have no proof. This is my just looking at things from the way the Democrats work. I used to be a lifelong Democrat. Now I'm no party affiliation. The way they work is they crush and they steamroll and they just flatten anyone in their way. What happened was they cheated Bernie Sanders, so they utilized another reincarnation of Bernie's 2016 campaign, this time with only a Green New Deal resolution and certainly no Medicare for All talk or anything that would really upend or turn over the apple cart. So it was all, look at me, let's retweet my Twitter account, and let's make sure that 110,000 direct and indirect jobs don't come to her district in New York. It wasn't just 25,000. They would have made the headquarters big enough for 40,000. And the economic activity, according to one USA Today article, would have been 100,000 jobs. You're talking everything from food trucks to union jobs to dry cleaners to everything that would come with that economic activity. But see, it's always economic justice, but economic justice comes with people working, like record low Black and Latino unemployment under President Trump. But see, that doesn't sound so good to a lot of people on the left. I don't know why, but they found the 2 PACs being probed, brand new Congress. Wow. The 2 PACs being probed. I'm not writing this. I'm not making this up. This is what it says. The two brand new Congress and Justice Democrats were both set up by AOC's campaign chairman to support progressive candidates across the country, but they have funneled more than $1 million in political donations into two private companies, according to Federal Election Commission's filings. And wow, the two PACs being probed. Isn't that interesting? Gee, I wonder who set up Justice Democrats. Interesting. In 2016 and 2017, the PACs raised about $3.3 million, mostly from small donors. Gee, who was fundraising? Who was leading the fundraising on YouTube? I wonder who it was. Wow. Some of those people were also the people pushing the Trump-Russia myth that we found out was a complete hoax. A third of the cash was transferred to two private companies whose names are similar to the ones of the PACs, Brand New Congress LLC and Brand New Campaign LLC, Federal Campaign Filing Show. While PACs must follow stringent federal rules on disclosure of spending and fundraising, private companies are not subject to the same transparency. The complaint filed by the National Legal and Policy Center, a government watchdog group based in Virginia, alleged the LLCs appeared to have been set up to obscure those federal reporting requirements. No, they would never do that because AOC loves oversight and loves the government, protecting the people. So why would... That's horrible. I don't believe that. That's crazy. I don't think that Justice Democrats did anything wrong. I think that AOC's campaign and all the people who set up Justice Democrats and all the people who worked for AOC's campaign were 100% above board. They would never do anything willingly or intentionally to grift, $1 million or more. No. They would never do that. They may also have violated the $5,000 limit on contributions from federal PACs. Federal authorities are looking into new salary rules imposed by Ocasio-Cortez when she took office and whether they were put in place to let her campaign manager dodge public finance disclosure rules. Someone's going to flip and sing, flip, 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 flip. Although Ocasio-Cortez raised the salaries of junior staffers, the campaign chairman took a massive cut. The Harvard graduate in tech. Okay, so because his salary was less than $126,000, congressional rules exempted the chief of staff from having to disclose his outside income. Oh man. So again, you got a complaint. You come and talk to me about it. Pelosi admonished. Oh, you mess with the, you poke the bear. You mess with the bull, you get the horns. Pelosi is like a more ethical Hillary Clinton. If you could imagine, still not ethical, but definitely not someone you want to mess with in the Democratic Party. By the way, Clinton's running again. So the matrix won't be complete until AOC officially endorses Clinton 2020, which will vindicate everything I've said for 3+ years. Oh, looky. So, this is interesting. Feds probing AOC's chief of staff. So, the feds are probing AOC's campaign, not just the chief of staff. Feds are probing AOC's campaign, according to the New York Post. Now, this is an article from the New York Post. I can only read you what... There's one other article. But this... So Feds probing... The only article I see is from the New York Post by John Levine and Mary Kay Ling. So, all right. Give me your thoughts below. This is really interesting. Give me your thoughts below. If this is accurate, that means the roof is caving in. You could rest assured that very likely their accounting and the way I wrote about this in the Huffington Post, and I told people I'm not even going to get into it because this is my family-friendly channel, and my first segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel didn't discuss this. Not really, only in passing. But I turned a leaf on whatever. I'm not on the left anymore. I'm just myself. I'm voting for Trump. I am a Trump supporter because he's a very good president. And life is not about Twitter. If you want to judge him on statements, then also judge Clinton for calling black youth super predators and referring to Mahatma Gandhi, and Clinton did, and apologized for it as a gas station attendant in the New York Times. But by the way, she's running again. So all the offensive and horrible things, everything from, a NATO intervention that destroyed a country named Libya, to all the other duplicitous things that Marianne Williamson's love goblins forgot about. By the way, they visited me. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have graphics. I've spruced it up. They all forgot about that. But anyway, where was I going with it? If this is accurate, the roof is caving in. Yet another bunch of people who tried desperately to destroy Trump, and the opposite took place. They were done in by their own contempt. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very much to support my voice. My Patreon is below. Read my writing in the Federalist and the Jerusalem Post about AOC. Thank you so